You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 25.
So on today's podcast, we are joined by Zoe Kiff from the brand Honest Riders. Honest Riders actually launched quite recently, but Zoe's been involved in the equestrian industry for a little bit. But we're going to obviously meet Zoe. We're going to find out all about how and why she started Honest Riders and her background before then too. So hello, Zoe.
Hi.
Thank you very much for joining us. Well, me, but obviously us when everyone else listens. So tell us a bit about you and your background, and tell us a bit about you and your background.
So I'm Zoe and I am the owner and founder of Honest Riders, and we are an equestrian ethical lifestyle brand, which is a bit of a mouthful.
I like that.
And I started, Honest Riders launched in October last year, but like you say, I've been kind of working in equestrian fashion for about 18 months now. And before that, I was a marketeer, so I was working in advertising agencies as a strategist. I lived in London for about 10 years and recently moved, well, not recently, about 5 years ago actually, moved to the South Coast and just wanted more of a country lifestyle. So I was consulting in London and commuting up there 2 or 3 days a week and just finding it all really hard work. And at the same time wanted to explore, something that I could link to my passion. I always knew that I wanted my own business, but I didn't know what that was going to be. And then I had a bit of an epiphany a couple of years ago, and that sort of took me on this long journey that ended up with Honest Riders.
So you said Honest Riders is an equestrian ethical, how did you word it? Equestrian ethical
lifestyle brand.
Okay, so explain the ethicalness. Because this is one of your USPs, isn't it? Really, as a brand.
It is, yeah. It's a bit of a long story, and it started quite some time ago. But I'll roll with it, and you can just see.
Go for it.
See if it's interesting. So about 5 years ago, so even before that actually. So at the beginning of my career, I worked for a cosmetics company, and at the time, I became made aware. I was recently graduated from business school. I was aware that they were testing on animals, and it just didn't sit very well with me. So I thought, I don't want to stay in this industry. And we had lots of meetings, when I was there, and they were trying to find ways around it, but they hadn't done. Anyway, so I got out of that industry, and I kind of kept an eye on it, and I assumed, because the way that technology has moved on, that practice had stopped. I saw lots of lovely new organic ethical brands emerging, and I just assumed that no one these days would continue to bother testing on animals. I just thought it was unnecessary. And then about 5 years ago, I saw a video on Facebook of a very well-known cosmetics brand testing on animals, and it really, really upset me. One of those things that just kind of crushes you to the core, and you just think, oh my God, that, I'm buying their stuff, I'm using it. It just didn't sit very well with me. So I made a New Year's resolution that I was going to cut out all of the makeup brands that were testing on animals. I thought that was the one small thing that I could do as an individual that would help, move things forward by taking a stand. So I did that. And then the more and more I dug into it, the more I realised that actually it wasn't just makeup brands, it's household products. It was the dog shampoo that I was using. Yeah, and then I went on and I had a look at some of the products I was using on my horses, and they were full of chemicals. They didn't say that they didn't test on animals, or they did test on animals, but it was the assumption that in order to be able to sell in China, they were going to have to, and a lot of them do. So I just had a bit of an epiphany. I was like, oh my God, this is just so wrong in this day and age. Why are we still doing this? And I'm no eco warrior, but I just was really upset by it.
Animal lover, it does seem odd, I think. As you say, if you're using these products to look after your animals, but animals have had a horrible time, so it's a bit of a weird one. I mean, obviously I know we do hear about the makeup industry and testing on animals, but I didn't realise it was this widespread actually, so that's a bit disturbing.
I know, nor did I, and it really upset me, and it took me a while as well, because I thought, God, I'm going to have to change so many things in my life, and I did so much research. I felt really strongly about it, and I researched all of these replacement brands that were cruelty free. I thought, that's great. I started looking into it for horse care, I found some really beautiful products made in the UK, made from organic products, all natural ingredients. I started using them on my horses. But the problem was that I was having to go to lots of different websites to buy these things. There was no kind of one-stop shop where I could go and buy everything that I needed for my horses that was natural in its kind of core, and cruelty-free. So that kind of led me to thinking about what I could do as a business to bring those products together, and start selling them to people that had similar concerns and care about their animals in the same sort of way.
I think as well the interesting point is, so I know we have touched on this before, but to be honest, I didn't really take it all in clearly because I missed some parts of that. But the products that you have got on your website, and obviously we'll talk about the other side of the website next, they aren't just organic, cruelty-free. They actually do the job. You've actually tested these products, haven't you?
Yes, so I've called it my Hidden Gems range. And that kind of reflects the other side of the business that was bugging me, which was I was spending hours on forums. I'd have a problem with one of my horses, I'd want, one of them had rubbed his mane out and I wanted something that would help regrow it. And I was spending hours on forums searching stuff. And then I'd buy something, try it, and it wouldn't work. I'd feel frustrated. I'd ask some of my fellow questions and buy something else and spend a fortune just buying these products that weren't necessarily working. And I'd just been a sucker for their marketing, basically, which coming from the industry was a bit stupid. But anyway, I looked at my cupboard where I keep all of my kind of horse care products, and there was just hundreds of bottles of stuff that I'd bought and that just wasn't working. So I thought, this is just really annoying. And I'd found a beauty website called Cult Beauty, that I now buy quite a few of my makeup products from. And what they do is they hand pick kind of cult items, stuff that they know really genuinely works. They try and test it before they bring it to market. And I thought that's brilliant. That's what we need in the equestrian market. We need a reliable site where people can come and buy from fellow equestrians, buy stuff that they know works, that's been tested, and that they're not going to have to just fall for marketing spiel.
I think
so I made the decision that I wasn't going to sell entire brand ranges. I was going to hand pick the products that I tried and tested myself that I knew worked and sell them.
I really like that. And I think that, again, it's just perception, but we feel that companies that have, maybe bigger companies, their products are going to be better because they're going to have better testing. But actually, that's not necessarily the case at all. And also, you don't need to have the aspects that we've talked about to make a product good at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I've one of my brands, Mother Bee, I've started a new blog series called Meet the Maker.
I love Mother Bee. I've got some lip balm knocking around here somewhere, which I use all the time. It's brilliant stuff.
Oh, it's so lovely. And I came across that product. I went to a show and I bought some of their it's called Yard Hand Rescue. Yeah, and it was amazing. So anyway, I was speaking to Cheryl, who owns and runs Mother Bee, and she was saying that her the kind of core ingredients came from her grandmother, who was making these things and trying and testing them, and were picked up by a vet who had tested them on a horse that had a really bad cut and discovered that they worked beautifully. So it's just little stories like that are just really, really amazing, and just mean that I can bring to market brands and products that aren't necessarily well known, but are so thoroughly founded in doing the job that they're meant to do, they're designed to do, and smelling lovely and looking lovely in packaging perspective as well.
And I think as well, even in human, not necessarily makeup, but kind of skincare and things like that. Actually, we before I pressed record, we were talking about podcasts and the Jenna Kutcher podcast, and she talks about a brand called, I think it's Primarily Pure, who do like natural skincare, deodorants, that kind of thing that she uses. I think it's really filtering through about the kind of the ingredients that we put onto our skins, as well as all the other aspects of it. We're really beginning to look into it in a lot more detail. So
yes, yeah, absolutely. I made this decision to stop using products that have got sulfates and parabens in them, because they're just so bad for you. And then you look at the ingredients in some of our horse care stuff, and it's full of it. It's full of chemicals. So there's that aspect at play as well. You know, I want to make sure that my horses are treated with the same level of care as I do myself.
Completely. Now that's one side of the business, but the other side of the business is perhaps one that people might know you more for, or at least I'm pretty sure they'll know your products if they've been on Instagram or Facebook well since October and don't have their head buried in the sand. But also it's interesting because the ethicalness is over on that side as well. So talk to us through the other side of your business, what you do, and you know why you're different.
Yes, so the clothing side of Honest Riders was actually the thought that came first, and that was how we started, and that was born out of me as a rider wanting to wear stuff that didn't look out of place when I step out of the riding arena or off the yard. At the time, I think I was searching for some breeches, and I couldn't find anything that wasn't covered in, you know, bling or just some reference to horses that was just a bit cheesy. And I thought, I've always been interested in fashion. You know, I worked in London for a long time, and that was a big part of my work life. And so I just thought, I feel like I can do this better. I can design some stuff that's just cool and fun and reflects, you know, the sort of the sense of individuality that we have as riders. So I came up with some slogans. I thought, it'd be really cool if we had these printed on some, you know, nicely fitting sweatshirts, some fashionable styles, in some cool colours that people can wear, not just on the horse, but also then, you know, down the pub. I mean, I've got this centre line sweatshirt on now, and I wear it with a 3/4 length skirt and boots. It looks really cool. So that was how that side of things started. And then when I was kind of looking into where I was going to source these products, I was speaking to lots of different manufacturers, and found this really lovely manufacturer who was telling me about the organic fabrics that they use to produce the products. And I felt them, and I was like, oh my God, you know, these sweatshirts are so much softer than anything else I felt. Oh, and bonus, you know, it's organic cotton, so it means that the farmer's been paid fairly, and that there's no chemicals that go back into the soils, etc., etc. So that was great. And then the factories that we use are also Fairwear certified and carbon neutral. So it all kind of started to come together and play to this feeling that I had in my head that I wanted to have more of a sustainable conscience when I was setting up.
Fairwear. Sorry, can you just explain what that means?
Yes, so there's a certification in manufacturing, in clothing manufacturing now. It's called the Fairwear certification, and it basically means that all of the employees at the factories where the clothes are produced are paid fairly and they work in safe conditions.
Amazing.
So I don't. Again, this was a complete epiphany for me. I didn't realise, but you know, some of the larger companies, and I'm sure people will know about this because it's been all over the news, some of the bigger fashion companies buy and manufacture their clothing in slightly unsavoury factories and conditions. So it's, you know, essentially slave labour. So by choosing a Fairwear factory, it means that we avoid all of those pitfalls, and we know that, you know, the people that have put the clothes together have been paid properly, and that they're happy, healthy workers.
It's ethical on a different level, as well as the actual product in terms of what's in the product.
Yes,
actually all the way through, which is really, really cool. And there's another aspect to the t-shirts as well. Sorry, not the t-shirts. We'll talk about the range in a minute. But actually, do you work with 3 charities? I'm going to say it's going to be 3. So explain a bit about that as well. So you're actually giving back as well. It's a rather lovely brand.
Yeah. So again, this, you know, that story kind of goes way back when, I've got Facebook to blame for this as well. Bloody Facebook's got a lot to answer for. But I was sucked into watching this horrific video of, you know, these horses that have been abandoned and dumped by the side of the road in our own country, in the UK. And a friend of mine was working on a charity, and she was actually working on one of the bills that they're trying to put through government to help stop fly grazing. And I just thought, oh God, you know. So I started donating every month to this charity. And I kept looking at, these charities, just thinking, there's just not enough. Like, I feel like I want to do more, but as an individual, I can't. So when I set up the company and I was thinking about what it was that we wanted to stand for, and what it was that I wanted to do, not just selling stuff, but as part of the brand, I decided to give a portion of our profits back to equestrian charities. So it makes it circular. So equestrians buy these products, but they also go back to help equines in need. So we support 3 charities, and we've kind of assigned a charity to each of the slogans, although we've actually got 5 slogans now, so we've had to put more than one slogan to a charity.
Okay.
But I work with 3 amazing charities. Pablo's Horse Sanctuary, who are based in Melton Mowbray, and it's a one-man band, one lady band, a lady called Carol, and she takes in unwanted, abandoned horses and ponies. She's got some big fields, and basically she just takes in the waifs and strays and looks after them and nurses them back to health. And she's an incredible lady. So all the money that we raise goes to helping her for 2 of the slogans. The other charity is Retraining of Racehorses. And it's a charity that's quite close to my heart, because I used to have an ex-racehorse that I did dressage with. So I had an affiliation with them anyway. And they're a really, really lovely charity, getting racehorses back into doing other jobs. And then the third charity is World Horse Welfare. And I guess a lot of people will know them. They do amazing work, not just with rescuing horses and ponies in the UK, but also, petitioning and helping get movements through government and try to help with legislation so that we can reduce the amount of suffering of horses worldwide.
So you said you do 5 slogan t-shirts. Talk to us about them and how you came up with the slogans, really, because I think they're really fun. I've got a no scope. Well, I'll just tell one slogan. I have a no scope, no hope one, which always makes me smile whenever I see it. It's actually drying at the moment, so hence I don't have it on today. Not that you'd be able to see that on a podcast, but it's lovely. It's burgundy, and I love it. But because also you do different sizes, which I think is other. I know we're going to move on to USPs shortly as well, but that's another thing. You actually call them different names as well. So a lot of information there. Tell us about the slogans first.
So the slogans. Oh God, they took me so long to come up with, and actually a couple of other people came up with the slogans. I just thought, yeah, that's brilliant. We'll use that. And they're a combination of things that old school riding instructors would say to you when you were younger. So no scope, no hope is one of them, and it's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek way of saying, that horse has got no scopes, you've got no hope, kind of thing. When you were trying to clear a 2-foot fence in Pony Club days. Centerline is the one that's particularly close to my heart, because I'm a dressage rider. So I wanted a slogan that said dressage, or said a discipline, but wasn't necessarily overly horsey. So I can wear this Centerline sweatshirt, and people that aren't horsey haven't got a clue. It just looks cool. So that's that one. We've got 2 hearts, which was the hashtag that was used for the 2012 London Olympics, and it basically symbolises the partnership between horse and rider. It's actually my favourite slogan. I absolutely love it. It's all about the partnership.
Sophie Callahan has got one of these 2 hearts sweatshirts, and she's expecting a child, baby. So it makes me chuckle whenever I see her on Instagram with the 2 heart sweatshirt, because obviously she's got her own heart and her baby's heart. So that just makes me laugh a lot as well.
Yeah, it's lovely. It can mean lots of different things to different people, and not just horse people, but people that love dogs have bought them. It's just that's our bestseller, 2 hearts. We've got Drop It Like It's Trot. And that was literally just me. I was listening to the radio and Snoop Dogg was on, and that's Drop It Like It's Hot was on, and I was like, oh, that Drop It Like It's Trot, that's quite cool, different. So that's it's literally just something fun. And then the final slogan is one that we launched this season, which is Free Rein. And again, it's designed to sort of symbolise what you do with a horse, and just casually going out on a hack on a free rein, and just the beauty of doing that. The way that the copy's been written across the sweatshirt, it just looks like a cool slogan. It doesn't necessarily have to be horsey.
It's quite a different
My husband actually, that's his favourite. Sorry.
It's a different font, isn't it, the free reign one? It's kind of more scripty. In my head it is.
Yes.
More flowy.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it's designed to be like that because it kind of it's meant to mean, you know, just chilling out on a hack and just ambling along and, you know, just enjoying life. And it's my husband's favorite because he's like, oh, you know, yeah, you give me a free rein because I can just go and do what I want.
Oh dear, he's misunderstood that altogether, hasn't he?
Yeah.
No, I really like that. That's a fair point actually, because it's a saying that isn't just horsey, it's a saying that anyone uses.
Exactly.
So we're going to move on to USPs now, which are unique selling propositions, or there's a different way of saying that, isn't it? So I think the Honest Riders brand has got quite a few of these USPs, which are obviously really good ways from a marketing point of view to stand out above the crowd. So rather than just bringing out a sweatshirt or saying we sell these products, you've built in quite a lot of things that make you unique, or I'm going to say unique, so I don't think there's anyone else that has this combination that I'm aware of. Could be wrong. I doubt I'm wrong. I could be wrong. So tell me about how you kind of thought about these USPs, obviously it sounds like you've got quite a lot of background in terms of the kind of cruelty and how you've changed your own life. So how did you work that into your business from the clothing and from the products?
I'm going to be honest and say it was a bit of not a mistake, because that means that it's a negative thing. It wasn't intentional. It just came about. And I think when I first got into this market, we wanted to create something that was different. And I think that, you know, by the nature of that, it means that you need to be unique. You need to find things that are different to anything else in the market. And it's a struggle in the equestrian market because it's a crowded one, and you know there's a lot of equestrian fashion. There's a lot of clothing out there. There's a lot of horse care products, and I just thought I want to design something that is different and that will look stylish and not necessarily horsey. So that was my starting point. And then as I kind of thought through what kind of business I wanted it to be, that's when the other USPs filtered in, because they're kind of part of my makeup, if that makes sense. And I think that's really important with businesses. It's just they have to be a real reflection of your values and your beliefs, because hopefully then it goes across to your customers, and then it gives them something they can really believe in as well.
Yeah, I think some businesses that have very specific USPs, it can actually be quite limiting in some ways. I mean, obviously feel free to disagree, but obviously with yours it doesn't feel like that at all.
No, and I'm kind of almost getting to the idea paralysis stage with it now, because I can just take it off in so many different directions, and I can't decide which direction it should go. I think you're right. I think it can be really limiting, but on the other end of the scale, it can be, you know, not limiting enough, and you can kind of go wild with it. So I think for me, it's about keeping your customer at the core and making sure that everything you do has got them in mind, and what you know that they want and what that you know that they genuinely need, and also what you think they will buy into from you as a brand.
Sure.
So I'm really trying to put across our values and our beliefs, so that we'll get an audience, a group of our people that believe the same thing, and then, you know, any direction that we take it in hopefully will be a natural one.
I think it's a funny thing as well when you're thinking of launching a business or, you know, redefining where you want to go, is that you think by sort of niching down and being really focused, you're going to alienate people. You know, it's easier, it feels like it's easier to be all things to all people. Actually, completely wrong, because you don't want all people to like you or get what you do or want to buy from you or want to buy from me. But you need this kind of tribe of people that really get it at its core.
Yes, absolutely. And I spent a long time, obviously being an equestrian myself helps, but I spent a long time market researching and looking what other brands were doing, and trying to pick out, you know, the ones that I knew successful. What was it that they'd done that had made them so successful? And I think that's exactly it. They'd chosen a path that was not necessarily going to appeal to the masses, but actually made them unique and made them who they are. And you're quite right. You know, some people will buy into that, and they are your people. That's your audience, and you can go after that audience. And then the others, you're never going to appeal to anyway.
Right. So how do you use your points of difference, your USPs, in your business to promote it? What things do you do to help people get to know about why you are different?
So I'm trying to take a leaf out of your book, Ria, and focus on content.
I love a little bit of content. You can't beat content.
I think I've followed a lot of brands that are that dip in and dip out of social media, and I think that's really wrong. And I think one thing we're really trying to do is be sociable. Yeah. And by that I mean be present. So we're in social media talking about the stuff that we're doing, and as a business, you know, you're working on new things every day, and you're thinking about things every day, and you can be honest and communicate that with your audience. And I also, you know, make a real effort to talk to customers and reply to them in social media, and if they've got a question, I'm right there. I'll respond in person, and if they make a comment on a photo, you know, I'll respond because they've made the effort to do that. And I just think that's the way that you build connections. And then I'm thinking about content as well. So ways that we can demonstrate, we can live by our values, if you like. So ways that we can demonstrate how we are, reducing the amount of plastic that we're using. What happens to the money that's been raised for those charities? You know, I went to visit World Horse Welfare and did some videos and did some Insta stories around that. I've got some sponsored riders, and they've been carefully picked to make sure that they align with our values. So they believe in the sustainable element of the brand. They believe in the products. So I'm just working out with them now how we can produce some content that will be interesting to our audience, that brings to life the way that they can use those products. So all sorts of bits and pieces like that, really.
I think that's really good. And I think being open and honest, I know your name it's well thought through, but I think the beauty of social media is that as brands, we can take people along on the journey with us. So we can go and see where the money that people have essentially raised through buying your product has gone.
Yes.
We can see maybe some different colours you're thinking of for next season. Which colours do people like the most? Or talk about different slogans. But you can get your community involved with what you're doing by being open with them, which is such a lovely thing to do. I think we feel like we shouldn't be so open because what if someone copies us? But there's limits to how open you can, you know, I appreciate you have to protect your IP and everything else and your designs, but there is actually a way you can bridge the gap, isn't there?
Absolutely. And it is something that I struggle with, because I don't want to give away, you know, what we're working on in the coming months. But like you say, you can use snippets of elements of things that you're doing to bring that to life for customers and get their input. And you can do it in ways that don't involve giving away your secrets. But also, by the nature of our name, Honest Riders, we want to be open. We want to be out there and asking customers their opinion, because I think that by involving them in the design process and in the product process, that's part of it. And it means that when we bring those products out and when we launch them, I know as a business owner that it's something that people want. Yeah. And that's really important.
No, absolutely. So tell me a bit about the name and the branding, because I think I love the name and I really like the branding, and I like all the details. So on your sweatshirts, you've got extra detailing. So can you tell me a little bit about, first of all, how you got the name, and then how all the branding elements that go in with that?
So the name came after we decided to do the donation to charity. So there are a couple of other brands in mainstream fashion that do this, and they were part of my inspiration for the charity donation. And also I liked the way that they'd kind of paraphrased that element of their brand. So I was trying to think of a name that said, you know, we give back. It's not just about making profits. It's about giving back. And then on the other side, the kind of Honest Rider side was also about the slogans, because the slogans are honest and the slogans are a reflection of who you are as a rider. Mm. That's how that came about, really. I just stayed around with loads of different iterations. And that's where we landed, Honest Riders, and it kind of stuck. And you know, I went and asked I've got lots of horsey friends, and I had 2 or 3 names in the list, and I thought I'll just go and ask people, and I just ran them past people, and Honest Riders was the one that really stuck. So that's how we got there.
No, I really like that. And then how's that morphed into your branding, because you've got sort of imagery that goes with it, haven't you?
Yeah, so I wanted to keep it very modern looking, and I think that was one of my pet hates about equestrian brands, was they feel quite old-fashioned and quite traditional. Yeah. And that's not my style, and I wanted the range to be a reflection of my style. So I worked with a graphic designer, and we she just came up with 4 or 5 different iterations of our branding, and that didn't just include the logo, but I wanted her to look at some iconography as well. So the way that we bring to life certain elements of the brand, so the horse care range, the clothing range, and the donation to charity. So she worked on some icons that would support that, and we ended up with a kind of a green, I call it a green palette, colour palette, because we use a lot of different iterations of green, and some sort of geometric shapes, which I thought looked quite modern and made it fresh and keeps it fashion worthy, if you like. So I was lucky. I had a graphic designer friend, and I worked on the branding with her, and we just went back and forth until I landed on something that, again, it was just personal taste. It just something I liked. I just thought, yeah, that looks really cool. So that's how it happened.
I think the green's a really good colour as well, because obviously with your ethicalness, it seems to fit really well, but also it ties in country and freshness, doesn't it? Green does tick a lot of boxes.
Yes, it does. So we've got kind of two green colourways, if you like. We've got a kind of a tealy green, which is our core brand palette, our logo, and then we've got more of a pastel-y green, which I use alongside it, and we worked through these different colours and how they work together, and we've ended up with this teal green, a navy blue, a mint green, and then like a pastel-y pink colour as well, which I really love.
And you said as well about at the beginning about you becoming less, using less plastics as a business. I know that packaging is something that, I do like a bit of packaging, and I know that obviously because your products they're not cheap, but they're not expensive. They're well-priced products. So the kind of the presentation is an element of that. So how have you managed to incorporate your branding with your green credentials, with your reducing plastic? Because there's a lot of boxes to get ticked there, isn't there?
Do you know what? That has been one of the biggest struggles, because especially with the horse care, you have to protect it. And in the early days, I had a couple of parcels that arrived that I thought I'd packaged really well, and they ended up arriving exploded everywhere, and I felt awful. So I just thought, oh God, I've got to find something that's not plastic but still does the job of protecting the product when it arrives. So I worked with a packaging company and just went through their catalogue and just said to them, look, what have you got that's recyclable? Because I'm not using plastic in my packaging. Again, it bugs me it goes against my values. So we've got, all of the horse care is sent out in a cardboard box, so obviously recyclable. It's then wrapped in, it's like a honeycomb paper wrapping. So when you stretch it, it forms a honeycomb around the product and protects it. Again, made from recycled paper, so that's fully recyclable. I then went on a mission to find some packaging tape that wasn't made from horrible glues and plastic, because parcel tape is plastic. Yeah. So we've got some really beautiful branded paper packaging tape. And then again, for the clothing, as a marketeer, it was really important for me that when people invest in us, they choose one of our products, I want them to be absolutely delighted with the experience from start to finish. And part of that is obviously when it arrives on their doorstep and when they open it. So from a packaging perspective, we've got an outer, which is a compostable postage bag. Wow. So it looks like plastic. It looks like a plastic bag, but actually you can put it in your recycling bin, and it composts. It erodes down. And then I wrap everything in tissue paper, and we've got branded stickers and a really lovely flyer and note card that goes with it, with a handwritten message from me. So
it's very. obviously what's come over to me is that there's a lot of work involved if you want to make these kind of changes and really get your USPs to shine out in everything that you do, but also that if you put that work in, it is entirely possible.
Absolutely. And I'm still working. I'm a small business. I'm essentially a one-man band. I'm still working on ways to make that process efficient. And my husband's been really helpful with that, because he's very practical. So he's helped me sort the kind of the packaging and the processing element of it. Because as a business, obviously time is money, but it's important. I think if you want people to keep coming back to you, you have to put that effort in to make them feel special. And again, it comes back to USPs. If you want people to choose you over another brand, it's all part of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what advice would you give people either looking to start a business that was more ethically sound, if that's the right term, or wanting to make their business more ethically sound? You know, because you were really good at the beginning as well, because you said small changes. What can you do to impact your life? So rather than, you know, destroying the place and starting again, little changes. So what would you advise people if they want to make little changes, or if they want to actually build a business with that as a foundation?
So I guess firstly, decide what it is that's important to you. You know, do you care if you're sending stuff out in plastic and that's not recyclable? Do you care if you've got elements of your business that aren't particularly ethically sound? Because I'm not judging. No, some people don't worry about it, but just decide what it is that you really care about. And I guess probably the easiest change to make is in the packaging, because I having researched it, I was actually blown away about how much recyclable packaging there is on the market, that's not any more expensive than wrapping things in bubble wrap and these plastic air bubble things.
That's interesting. So again, you assume it's more expensive. I would.
Do. I did, and I worked through the costings, and I thought, in my head I thought that's a cost I need to take on as a business, but actually no more expensive, and if anything cheaper than using plastic. So that's a really simple one. Obviously not all businesses want to give away a portion of their profits to charity, and I completely understand that, because it's we've all got to make a living. But think about your audience and what it is that matters to them, and whether you think having an association with a cause or a charity in whatever way you see fit could be helpful. And let's be honest, it's not just an altruistic thing. It could make good business sense, because by associating yourself with a charity or a cause, you're communicating your values, and that means something.
Yeah,
so it's got a value.
I work with Hi-Ho Silver, as I think everybody knows, and they have a few charity collections, and one is Wilbury Wonder Pony, and they've raised a huge amount for that amazing charity, and people have been really keen to support it.
Yeah,
and it's been really lovely to see, because actually the charity wouldn't have got that money without them. Do you know what I mean? So actually everybody's benefited, but more importantly, the charity has massively benefited from a monetary point of view.
yes.
And with your
and Fairfax and Favour did one recently, didn't they, with their tassels, and they, it was a win-win. Beautiful tassels for the customer, and a huge donation to breast cancer care. And I think collaborations like that are just incredible. Are there ways in your business that you could do the same thing? And it doesn't have to be on a huge scale.
Yes, no, I think that's the thing as well, because every little really can make a difference. You were saying about the lady, is it Pablo's, who she's a one lady band. If she got a donation of £100, it would actually make a big difference to her. It doesn't have to be thousands of pounds that you have to raise. It can be a much smaller amount that can make a real difference.
Absolutely. That £100 for her pays for the hay for her horses for a couple of weeks. It's little things like that. And I just think, as business owners, we just really need to think carefully about our impact on the, not just on the planet, because that's just a bit of an ethereal big thing, but just thinking about the little things that we can do that can help. I really believe that everyone has that in them. Everyone has the power to make a small change, and if we all do that, then it makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point as well. To go back to the charities, how did you pick those three? Because there's so many worthwhile charities. If people are thinking, actually, I could do that, how did you pick the three?
So Pablo's and the Retraining of Horses Association was quite easy, because Pablo's I knew through a friend. They'd been recommended because she was doing some work with them, and I'd seen firsthand the impact of the work that she was doing, because this friend of mine, Michelle, was working directly with her, and I'd seen the horses. Retraining of racehorses, again, that was one that was close to my heart, and I think that's a really lovely place for people to start. If you've got a charity in your head that you feel affiliated with for whatever reason, that's a great place to start. And then World Horse Welfare, just because I've donated to them for many years now, and I really believe in the work that they do. But it actually wasn't massively easy. I will sort of put this out there as a word of caution, in that some charities don't have space to collaborate with brands, and we did contact a couple of charities that said, look, we can't work with you for whatever reason, we've got associations with other brands that would be conflicting. And at the time I thought, oh my god, why would you not want our money? Why? But you have to understand their reasons, and I think they've got associations with brands that they want to be loyal to, so I think it is. So I think just picking something that means something to you is a good place to start.
And obviously speaking to the charities that you're interested in working with, and making sure that is something that you can actually make happen, because you promote your association with those charities quite widely, as you should do. So it is important to make sure that they're happy that you do that.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, you have to work with them. You can't just arbitrarily say that you're donating to a charity when you haven't spoken to them and got their buy-in. And the charities we work with have been amazing, because they have promoted our products in their social channels, which obviously benefits us as a brand. Not that was the original thinking behind it, but it's a consideration as a business owner.
So what's been the best bits of setting up Honest Riders since you started?
I think there's two things. It means that I get to think about horses all day. And I'm like a 5-year-old child about horses. I've never grown out of it. I'm still as obsessed as I was when I was 5 years old. So that's great. But I think the other thing is the people that I've met through this. I've met some really cool people that have been truly inspiring to me, and have really helped me. Have kind of pushed my comfort zones, and have encouraged me into areas that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of. And I've been really open to that. I love getting messages from other brands, or people that I can work with and learn from. So I think that's the two things really for me that's been amazing.
And what about the not so fun side? What challenges have you had since you started the business?
I think if you ask my husband, he'll say that there's been a fair few tears. Time, I think, is the biggest thing for me. So I still have to go out and do a marketing consultancy job to earn my living. I'm not making any money from Honest Riders as a fledgling business. I'm not taking any money from it at the moment. I'm putting all the money back into the business. So that means I'm working a full-time job. I've got dressage horses in work, competition horses that I want to keep fit. I've got 2 dogs. I'm trying to juggle everything. It's just insane. Some mornings I get up at 5:30 and don't go to bed till 10:30, and I'm just working and trying to fit everything in, and it's so stressful. But then you get weeks where you just have a massive win, and you just think, that's why I do it. This is awesome. This is exactly what I should be doing with my life, and this is what I want to be doing. So
I think that's the thing, is that when you run your own business, the lows are pretty awful, especially if you don't work with other people. I think it can get quite lonely, and you can feel it like a big old kick. But then when you get a win, the win just wipes out all the badness, and
absolutely,
completely worth it.
Yes.
But anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me. I listened to all of your podcasts, so I've been, I'm really honoured to be part of it, and I'm really honoured to be able to talk about the brand, something that I'm just absolutely obsessed with, passionate about, and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity. So thank you.
Tell us where we can find you in all of the places. So website, Facebook, Instagram, whatever other social channels you've got going on.
All of the places.
Obviously
we've got a website, so it's honestriders.co.uk. You can find us on Instagram, so we're at honest.riders, and again on Facebook at honest.riders.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much. That's really, really good. I'm going to go and have yet another look at your website now and go and find out about all your hidden gems. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ria.